All right, this is Math 160, 7.4, cash discounts. And we're going to talk about other methods. So we've got end of the month and Proximo. So this is how they're represented. Okay, they can have the either EOM or PROX. And basically what that says is that you can be a 3% taken as a cash discount made by the 10th of the month following the sale, okay? So those 10 days are counted from the end of the month. So if an invoice is dated July 14th, you would have 10 days after the end of the month of July. So your date would be August 10th, okay? Now, they often have the last date of the discount right here. You might want to just kind of refer to this. If the invoice is dated March 26th or any later date in March, the cash discount is actually the last date, the end of the month of April instead of March, because there's not too many days left in March. So they bump it up to May 10th. And then the other thing is that when no net payment is given, I'm going to give you a rule that is kind of followed pretty closely in the business world. So we'll look at these in just a second, okay? So in this example right here, the invoice is dated June 10th with these terms: 3% within 20 days, the end of the month after the month of June, okay? So actually, so I like to write this out. The final date which the discount can be taken is 20 days after the end of June. Since it was dated in June, then that means that your discount can be taken all the way up to July 20th, okay? And this is what you want to put in your notes here. No net payment is mentioned. Remember, there's no net 30, net 60, whatever. No net payment date is given. Then common practice is 20 days after the last discount date, okay? So we have 20 days after July 20th. So if I take July 20th and I add 20 days, that would be July 40th, which we do not have a July 40th, so we take out the 31 days in July, and that leaves us with 9, and that goes into the next month. So the 9th of August, or August 9th, would be our net payment date. Okay. All right, the next one. We have dated February 15th with terms of 10 days after the end of the month in February. So 10 days after the end of February, which would be March 10th. And then the net payment, we don't have a net payment, again, listed. So net payment is 20 days after March 10th. So March 10 plus 20 is March 30th. And we do have 30 days in March. At least 30 days, okay? All right. Okay, so now they're going to actually give us an amount. So we got to make sure that we're paying, our invoice on time to receive this discount. So in this one, it says it's dated August 3rd, and this one is 10 days at the end of the August month. Proximio means the end of the month as well, okay? So I'm going to take August 3rd and add 10 days. Oops, excuse me. Not that. Let's erase that. Sorry. August 3rd. Okay, so we're going to 10 days plus, or at the end of August. Can't get it right here. 10 days at the end of August. So that means that it will be, you get the discount up to September 10th. Well, they paid on September 4th, so they get the discount, okay? So they paid on September 4th, so they get a 1%, okay, because it says 1% discount of the total price, $782. So 0.01 times 782 is $7.82. So the amount due is 782 minus $7.82, and that leaves us $774.18. All right, on this invoice, we've got 20 Proximio, and it was dated October 17th. So 20 days after October, the end of month of October, which would be November 20th as the last day of getting the discount. Well, they paid on November 18th. So they will get, the terms are 3% of the cost or the invoice, $14.75. So 0.03 times 1,475 gives us a discount of $44.25. So the amount due is 1,475 minus 44.25, and that's 1,430.75. Okay, so that's the end of the month, or Proximo, that tells us that the, gives you those 10 days or 20 days or whatever number of days after the end of the month the invoice is dated. Now we're going to talk about the use of receipts of goods. So now you're going to get the discount determined when the goods are received, okay? So this gives you longer, when longer shipping times are involved, this allows you to still get that discount. So here is that quick tip that I just kind of, blurbed out. If there's no net payment period, it's always 20 days after the last cash discount date, which we kind of went over. So that's just kind of some information that you'll need to kind of be knowledgeable. If it doesn't say net something, then that tells you. So like in this next example, there is going to be no net payment date or number that's attached with it. So we're going to assume it's the 20 days after the last discount date. Okay. All right, so here we go. We've got it dated December 12th, but the goods were not received until January 2nd, okay? And so it says 10 days within the receipt of goods. So for Part A, 10 days of receiving goods would be January 2nd, the date that you received it, plus 10, which would be January 12th. That would be the last day or the final date in which the cash discount can be taken. Then, because there's no net payment date listed, we would take the last day of the discount, January 12th, and we would add 20 to it, which would be January 32nd, which we know there is no January 32nd, but there are 31 days in January, which leaves one day, or the first of the next month, which would be February. So February 1st is the final net payment date. All right, very similarly, we'll go to this next one. And this one, we've got 15 days of receiving the goods. The goods were received on July 25th. So July 25th plus 15 days, which is July 40th, which we do not have a July 40th. So we subtract out the 31 days in July, and that leaves us 9, or the 9th of August. And you'll have it written like that. Okay? All right, and then again, since no net payment is done, we take August 9th. That's the last cash discount date, and we add 20 to it. And so the net payment date would be August 29th. Net payment date. Okay? All right. All right, so now we're going to actually do some applications where we're going to actually find out what the amount is for the invoice, okay? All right, so let's see. It's dated June 8th, but the goods are received June 18th, and here is the terms. So part A, we've got 10 receipt of goods, 10 days receipt of goods. And so we take June 18th when we receive the goods, and we add 10, and that gives us June 28th. But they paid on the 30th, okay? Paid on June 30th, so no discount. And then we go, the amount due is going to be the amount of the invoice. There's no other charges. There's no shipping, insurance, there's no discount, and so that one would just be the amount of the invoice. Now the next one, we are going to have a discount, okay? But again, we're looking at 20 days after receiving the goods, and the goods were received April 28th, which is my daughter's birthday. Okay, so we're going to have 20 receipt of good, 20 days of receiving the goods. So April 28th plus 20 would be April 48th, which we have 30 days in April, and that would be the 18th of May. So they paid on the 15th, so they will get the discount. So they get 4% of 896, which is 0.04 times 896, which is 35.84. So the amount due is the total cost minus the discount. There's no shipping or insurance. And so $860.14. All right, so I believe this might be the last one that is a special condition. Let me just double check. I think we've done Proximo. Yeah, well, we do partial payments, but this is the last special kind of blurb here, or that gives additional time to take an advantage of the discount. This is called extra dating, and the symbols are as follow. You can have the word extra, you could have EX period, or you could just have X. Okay, so you see this, or this, or this, and that means that you'll have additional time. So what this says is that you will have a 2% discount if paid within 10 plus 50 or 60 days from the date of the invoice. And, as mentioned in your book, like, why don't they just write, 2/60? Well, they want you to know that it shows that you're getting an additional 50 extra days, okay? So these are used during slow sale seasons. Okay, and it kind of gives a competitive advantage, and it kind of allows, maybe to boost those sales, that you can get a little bit more extra cash flow into your business. Okay, so again, you're going to take the first number and add those two together to get that last number. Days. And so this one, when you're adding it to date, you're going to have to take a lot of numbers out to figure out what that last due date is, okay? So for example, here, we've got Blenders. It was dated November 23rd. That's our start date. And we've got 10 plus 50, okay, or 60 days extra. So I'm going to write here, 10 to 50 is 60 days plus November 23rd. So if I add 60 to 23, I get November 83rd, okay? Well, I need to take out the 30 days in November. That gives me 53. Then I need to take out the 31 days in December, and that gives me 22. So it will be January 22nd is the last date, the final discount date. Okay? And then the net payment date, remember the net payment, there's no net payment mentioned. So the net payment date is 20 days plus the last discount date, which would be January. Well, I say that January. I'm not going to write January, but it's going to be January 42nd, which we take out the 31 days in January, and that gives me the 11th of February. Okay. All right. So this one is 1 to 60 extra. 1 to 60 extra, which is 70, plus July 7th. So that is 77. We take out the 31 days in July. That leaves me with 46. We take out the 31 days in August, and that leaves me with 15. So September 15 is the last discount date. That was A. Part B is the net payment date is 20 days plus September 15th, which would be the 35th of September. But we don't have 35 days in September. We only have 30. So that would be the 5th of October. All right, once we figure out those days, now we can actually apply this to a problem where we're actually calculating some discounts and finding the net payment, okay? All right, so here we've got 3%, 10 to 30 days extra, and it was dated August 5th. So we're going to take 10 plus 30, or 40 days, plus the invoice date. And so that would be August 45th. There are 31 days in August. And so that leaves me the 14th of September. And they paid on the 12th. So we get a discount, okay? Paid on 12th. So 3% discount applied. So we're going to take 3% of 8,180. And that is a discount of $245.40. And so the final net payment is $81.80 minus $245.40, which comes out to be $7,934.60. All right. So again, guys, the only way to get good at these is just kind of break them down step by step. The hardest thing I think for some students is just getting that calendar down. So again, find a method that works best for you. This one I'm going to think of 20 plus 40 extra days is a total of 60 days extra, plus the invoice date of May 22nd, which is May 82nd. Of course, we don't have 82 days in May, so we subtract out the 31 days, and that leaves 51. Okay, so this was May that we just took out. So now I got to take out the 30 days in June, and that leaves me 21. So July 21 is the last discount date. Well, they paid on July 15th, okay? So paid on July 15th. So we get a 2% of 5,412, which is $108.24. Our net payment is $5,412 minus the discount, and that comes out to be $5,303.76. All right, the last thing that we're going to do on this section, guys, is just doing some partial payments. I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to do the next video on just the partial payments.